Hey guys, so today I thought I'd do something just for fun, nothing super complicated, just like a really big close-up face. Kind of like a guilty pleasure kind of drawing, I guess, just like for fun. This video will probably be shorter than the others because it's not going to be like by reference or anything. It's just going to be me drawing whatever I feel like drawing. Yeah, today's such like a cozy day, and like I have like all the homework I have due I finished yesterday, or like not all of it but most of it, so I'm in like a pretty good mood right now, and I just want to draw something, I don't know, comforting, I guess, like you know, the type of drawing that you always just come back to over and over again because they're just fun, and it's not about trying to improve. It's just about finding refuge in the act of drawing. Anyways, that's what I'm doing right now. Just like I might do a couple of these because they're pretty quick, just like sketches, nothing detailed at all. Although it might be pretty boring. I'll probably just be doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe I'll do some experimenting with like line width and type of brush and stuff. But this is definitely just like what I would doodle in my notebook while I'm bored in class, or like what I just do if I just am in the mood to draw, not in the mood to improve per se. But yeah, today was quite a lazy day. I didn't do much, which like I have an essay due on Sunday, so I should probably do that. And like I'm not even sure, like for the essay the teacher gave us a bunch of prompts to do. It's snowing outside right now so hard, and it's so pretty, and I'm getting so distracted. But anyways, the teacher gave us a bunch of prompts to do, and like I did not decide to write my essay according to any of those prompts. I mean, she said we could choose a prompt, but the thing is, like, it was pretty specific. Like, you can choose, like, we read two different sets of readings, and it was like you can either do like write about this set or this other set, and my essay is combining both of them. I don't know if that's allowed, but that's what I want to write about, so that's what I'm gonna write about. Hopefully I don't get penalized for it, but I don't really feel like writing about anything else. Like, that was what struck me the most, so I'm not going to. Yeah, and then I don't know if you guys were wondering about that assignment I was talking about last video, where it was like late and I didn't realize I had to submit it, but the teacher was very understanding, so good news for me. Okay, that's the face. Gonna get rid of it now. I'll do something else. I want to try and use a calligraphy and see how that affects shape. It'll be very similar. Like, can you hear the wind? It's so loud. The weather's crazy. Like, yesterday was warm enough that I didn't need a coat, and today it's snowing. Tomorrow's gonna be rather cold as well, but then on Saturday, I am filming this on a Thursday, on Saturday it's gonna be nice and warm again. So I don't like this. Let me get rid of it. I want to do something else. Maybe I should do like a head. I like having like really, I think I told you this already, I like really chunky lines. But yeah, my week has been fairly uneventful, which is like nice, I guess, but also kind of boring. On Saturday, like last Saturday, I did go to I did do a card game night with my friends, and that was a ton of fun. Like, card games are great. No gambling, but just the games. And like, I don't know that many, so it's nice to have like a ton of people, because like everyone is different card games, and like we had an odd number of people, so it's kind of hard to figure out which games to play. But in the end, like, it was a lot of fun. We played Prez, and we played Mao, and yeah, it was good fun, and I did not go to bed until very late that night, as one does when they're out with their friends, I suppose. But yeah, I like card games a lot. Yeah, I never really got into video games. Like, my family has always been, oh no. My family has always been about board games. We are a board game kind of family. So video games was never, like, my brother is very into, well, he still is, but like before he was into a lot of video games. Now he just plays like the one or two that he really likes. And then I used to play Minecraft a lot with my brother and also with my friends. Minecraft is probably the video game that I've played the most. Oh, I also play a lot of Candy Crush. Candy Crush is a lot of fun. Although whenever people see me play it, they like kind of groan about it. I guess it's got a bit of a reputation. But I do like playing Candy Crush. I've been playing for ages, so my level is quite high. Honestly, kind of like embarrassingly high, because it shows how much time I put into the game. But whatever, it makes me happy. So I think this is a nice face. I wanna do some like, I don't know, shading, but like with color. Make it shocking. Yeah, and then I kind of want to draw another face after this with like a smooth line, because I've been using like on Procreate, I've been using the first one I did with the dry ink brush, and this one I've been doing with the chalk calligraphy brush, and both of those have quite a bit of texture. So I want to try and do something with a smooth brush and see how that affects the results, because I am interested in trying out new brushes. I used to just use pencil, like a thick chunky pencil on Procreate, just because I really do like the texture of pencils, and like also that's why I'm using dry ink and chalk and stuff, because it's like the texture is somewhat similar. But I know that a lot of people use like a more refined brush for line art and stuff. Like, my art is not, it's not very refined. It's like rather sketchy, and I like that style, but it's good to try new things, you know? So just gonna do that. Yeah, let's see if I can Which colors should the hairs be? Cool colors? No, I'm gonna go purples. Purples are great. What's your favorite color? I like a lot of colors, but I have to say, like a grayed out, like a dull purple really hits the spot. And like pale yellow. I like the combination of yellow and purple. I know they're like complementary, so they're supposed to go well together, but it really is quite lovely. Bright blue. Anyways, pretty girl. Outline her. I like how the chalk lets you get really like thick chunky lines, and you can like define shape very well. Let me see what she looks like without the interesting. What if I put in her eyes? And her lips. What? Kind of creepy, no? Let's see. Let me choose a line that is. Move this. Let's see, like a smooth, like I don't know, a studio pen. Would that work? Or still in a bright blue. Tone it down. Yeah, that's like a smooth line. So let's see how I feel about this. I'm gonna make it a little smaller. I'm just gonna do a face again. Just staring right at you. Very similar to the first one. And we'll see if there's a difference. Or like, I mean, there will be a difference, but like what that difference would be. Yeah, this is kind of like very quick, very typical kind of drawing. What are your like comfort drawings? Like the kind you do when you just want to draw for the sake of drawing and not really for challenging yourself. Like I used to paint a lot. I used oil paints a lot, and I didn't do portraits in oil paint. I never did faces. I did landscapes, and I was super good at, or not good, but I was super comfortable with like forestscapes. But I think cityscapes are actually so pretty. Like, oh my goodness, cityscapes have my heart. But I just like cityscapes, like for me personally, this might not be everyone's experience, takes so much more time than like forestscapes, because you have to make sure the lines and everything are right. Like, it's so precise. Nature is not precise, but humans are, and it makes things a little bit difficult for painting. Like, but architecture is so nice. I painted like you know, San Francisco, like they're really famous, I don't know what they're called, like the townhouses, I guess, the really famous ones in San Francisco that are like pretty colors. Anyways, I painted a painting of that. It took so long, but it came out so nicely in my opinion. This was a while ago, so like maybe if I look at it now I'll cringe, but I remember thinking it turned out so well. And like before COVID hit, like, because after COVID hit I haven't gone to the studio at all, and I don't know if I ever will go back to the studio because I'm in college now and it's kind of difficult. But pre-COVID I was working on a kind of a cityscape. It was a scape that happened in the city, and it was of a scene in New York that it was like under a bridge or something, and there was somebody playing their guitar, like street performer, you know, and it was very nice. but there's so much detail that goes into architecture, and it's like super, honestly, it's architecture is nice. I don't know as much about it as I feel like I should, because I've taken a couple art history courses, right? But they never really talk about architecture too much. Like, it's more about, well, the first class I took was a lot of focus on paintings and stuff. So I learned about, like, especially European paintings. So I learned a lot about, like the different types of paintings. My favorite genre, I remember, was Rococo, just because everything was so, like, nice and, like, fun, I guess. It was so lighthearted, and, like, there's nothing heavy. But, I mean, that's why they got beheaded, right? Because they were all being lighthearted, and the non-rich, non-nobles were like, what do you mean everything's lighthearted? We're all starving. And then off with their heads. But anyways, I like that genre of painting a lot. For those of you, I guess, unfamiliar, Rococo, the most famous one is the Swing, I'm pretty sure. Like, that kind of frilly, soft painting. And then, that one has, like, intrigue in it too, right? There's, like, an affair or something happening. Yeah. But then there was, like, neoclassical paintings, and then romantic, and, like, romantic wasn't really a style the way neoclassical and Rococo was. Romantic was more like, how do you say, like, a feeling, like, it was about current events. It was gory oftentimes. Yeah, I mean, romantic paintings they can get intense. And then there was, like, the others too. Like, once we get into abstract art, right? Like, Mondrian, what was his, like, neoplasticism, that was his whole deal. Mondrian's the guy with, like, the solid colored, like the red and the blue and yellow, like, squares, or like just flat shapes. And then Jackson Pollock with his splattered art. We actually didn't talk about Pollock that much, which was surprising, because I feel like he was so, like, revolutionary in a way with abstract art. But yeah, anyways, we talked a lot about paintings. And then the second art history class I took was about, like, ornamentations. So we talked about, like, well, first of all, we talked about what it meant to be an ornament, and then so we talked a lot about, like fixtures in houses, I guess. Like, we talk about wall tiles and, like, I don't know, just, like, things that weren't necessarily considered fine art, or, like, textiles. We talked about textiles, and that art history class had more of, like, a global view. Like, it wasn't just European art, but at the same time, like, because that we were covering a lot of cultures, like, we didn't go terribly deeply into any single one. So I have, like, a very basic understanding of them, and, like, not really anything terribly deep, you know? So wait, let's compare this with this. Like, I'll put this off to the side so y'all can see. Like, they are different for sure. Which one do you guys prefer? This one definitely has some more shading in it, this one. And, like, I mean, the proportions are a bit different, but, like, I meant style-wise. What do y'all prefer? I prefer, proportion-wise, I prefer this face. I think it's, like, cuter. Although this one is quite memorable, I guess. Like, the eyes are very close together and very upwardsly tilted, whereas this one, like, obviously the eyes are huge, but I feel like they're more, like the face itself is more conventional in art. But yeah, honestly, I don't know which style I prefer more, but I want to try and do something similar that I did to the like full face I did, with the colors underneath. So what color should I go for? I want to go for like neon colors, and I'm going to, should I go back to like a textured, or should I go flat? Marker. Can you hear the weather going on outside right now? The snow has basically stopped, I think, and now like I'm on the roof of the building, like my room is on the roof, so and the roof is slanted, so all the water is like running down the sides of the roof right now. I can hear all of the water draining downwards like a waterfall effects outside my room. I honestly like being on the roof very much. A lot of people, like, I'm on the 5th floor, and a lot of people are like, well, the 5th floor is such a big climb, and like, you're not wrong. Like, it's kind of annoying to climb all the way. Ooh. Interesting. It's kind of annoying to climb all the way, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I like it. I like being on the roof and being able to look out the window and see everything. And like, I don't know, it's a nice sensation. So yeah, I purposely went like on the highest floor for, like, I chose the highest floor to be on for next semester's housing, and a lot of my friends were like, why in the world would you do that? But I think it'll be fun. Eyes. Make them brown, actually. Make them purple. Because y'all know I love purple. And then, honestly, I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. Should I color in the lips as well? What's your favorite lip color? Like, do you guys use makeup a lot? Like, what's your go-to lipstick? I don't wear makeup just because, like, it's so expensive to get started, and like, I watch a lot of makeup videos because I think it's very fun to watch that, but like, actually doing makeup myself, like, I'm just like overwhelmed by everything makeup entails. Like, you have to find the correct like foundation shade, and then like concealer shade, and like there's like contour and bronzer, and like, I don't know, eyeshadow and lipsticks, and there's a lot, and I am not, like, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, too much, but I honestly admire people who can do their makeup well so much. Like, gosh, it's an art form of its own, isn't it? But yeah, appearance-wise, I'm like very plain about it. Like, I don't wear nail polish either, because when I was little, my mother told me that nail polish was bad for you, because I like was not the most well-mannered child, and I ate with my fingers a lot, and she was like, if you use nail polish, then your nail polish is going to get in your food and you're going to eat it and then you're going to die. I was like, oh. So then I never used nail polish. I've used it on my toes before, but I've never done it on my fingernails. I'm like, I guess it's just a habit. Like, I know I won't die, but it's just like, at this point. So, yeah, that's why I don't use nail polish. But yeah, I remember, like, I went to a birthday party when I was little, and it was like a beauty pageant themed birthday party, and like I didn't do anything really. Like, there were stations for girls to get not makeup, I think, but there were stations for like hair, for nails, and there was like a runway that we walked down. It was like a hallway or something. We was in somebody's house. But and then like strut down the runway and like strike a pose. And like I refused to get my nails done because I didn't want to die. And then for my hair, the options were you can straighten your hair or you can curl it. And my hair is already straight, so like very straight, so straightening it wouldn't have done anything, and it was too short to be curled, like because curling makes your hair shorter, and it was already very short, and it just couldn't do that. So like I just kind of sat by the side. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was just chilling or something while the other girls were getting their like beauty pageant stuff done, and then I did walk down the runway. I wore a nice dress, which like looking back on the photos, it was like a very I thought it was a very fancy dress and was very proud of it, but it was actually like kind of like a I don't know, like a nightclubby dress almost. Like it wasn't formal the way I thought it was. I thought it was like very formal because it was black, and like I just associated black with formality. But it wasn't. It had like rhinestones, and it was like strapless and stuff. And like all the other girls in the photos are like wearing nice skirts with like cardigans and stuff. And I was just like, nope, not about to do that. So, anyways, that's my story of me when I was a wee child. I don't even remember how old I was at that point. But the dress wasn't revealing or anything, but it was like definitely not the same vibe as the other girls' dresses. Which, whatever. But yeah, what are you guys' feelings on dresses? I know there was like a phase in a middle school or elementary school even where like girls just didn't wear dresses. Like if you wore a dress, you weren't cool, you know? And like so I never wore dresses in school, really. But why is this not drawing? Am I doing something wrong? What is happening? Oh, it's because it's under this, isn't it? Okay. But I have since grown out of that, and now I wear dresses when the weather allows. AKA not today, because it's snowing. Yeah, earlier today, I had to get my another COVID test done, because I have to do it like every week a couple times. And like, it wasn't snowing yet. I mean, it snowed last night. But it stopped snowing when I came out. And I'm grateful because it started snowing again when I came back in. And like, they were fat snowflakes, you know, like sometimes snowflakes are like sand and they stab you when the wind blows, and sometimes they're really fat and fluffy. And this time they were really fat and fluffy, and like that's my favorite type of snow, but also I'd like to not get caught in it, thank you very much. So there we go. Anyways, so we have this face that I have drawn, and then we have her. She's very pretty. And then we have this first face that I drew, which honestly now is looking a little bit lackluster. But should I color her as well? What color combos haven't we done? Maybe I should do that pale yellow and purple combination I was talking about earlier. in high school, I went to a hackathon once, and like, I don't know how to code anything, but I was like with my friend who does know how to code, and we made a baking website during the hackathon, and the color scheme was purple and yellow, and I was in charge of finding the pictures because they had to be how do you say, open web, like we couldn't use copyrighted photos, even though like the website wasn't actually going to go live or anything. So it took actually quite a long time to find pictures, like suitable pictures, but that was my job, and I was very, very proud of the work I did, even though I did none of the actual coding. Hackathons are honestly, they're super fun. Like if you go to the right ones, like that have activities and stuff, but sometimes it's just like hacking, like just straight up hacking the whole time. And like, as someone who is not a hacker, who is bad with computers, like sometimes that gets kind of boring. But like the one I went to, that one, it had like a cup stacking competition, and we got like ice cream at midnight, and by midnight I mean like 2 a.m. because actual midnight is too early. And then yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was free too, which was great. There was like a ton of sponsors, and everything was free. And they had like workshops too for kids who didn't know how to hack like me. They had like, you were able to go to learn. I just didn't do that because I wanted to stay with my friends who did know how to, which like in retrospect maybe I should have learned, but a bit late now, ain't it? Well, right now I'm learning how to code in R for statistics, for stats. So I mean, at least I got that much. I'm not very good at it, but I can do something. Yeah, coding is like a lot of fun once you get it right, but while you're getting it wrong, it's super frustrating. So it's definitely something that you need to like be patient about, and like my patience is like pretty high usually, but yeah, I don't know, you just stare at the screen, like at some point you're just like, nope, can't do this anymore, like I need to stop. And then you realize that like you forgot a comma or something, then you facepalm real hard. But yeah, how's she looking now? Wow, scary. Yeah, I think the coolest layer is this one, because you can actually tell what's going on, kind of, but there's no line art, and it's pretty nice. And then, of course, with the line art, maybe I should have tried and erase these guidelines a little. Wrong layer. Yeah, I don't always erase the guidelines because, like I said, I kind of like the sketchy look, but I'll do it occasionally. I'll lighten them usually is what I'll do. But I guess we're just getting rid of them this time. I feel like it adds something. Like, my drawings obviously are not terribly refined, but I do enjoy the sketchy nature. But anyways, yeah, I think that's about it. I drew 3 faces, and colored them, I guess, in a way, and yeah, it was pretty fun, just like a pleasure drawing kind of deal. If you have any suggestions for what I should draw next, make sure you comment them, and you can like comment whatever, honestly. I'd like to have some conversations in the comment section, even though like I'm like not the most reliable when it comes to looking at comments, just because sometimes I forget to, but I will be sure to try to respond to every comment. But yeah, so I will see you guys. I'll see you soon. I don't know when I'll next do this. I don't really have a set schedule right now, just whenever I feel like it. But yeah, see ya.